to HealthWise. This afternoon we have Dr. Lewin. We know you're here for a reason. Dr. Lewin,
Yes.
we're talking about the change of life,
Yes.
life's changes.
Yes, we're going to primarily talk about it in women first, but then we will address some changes that occur in men later on as well.
Oh, I'm excited. This is the time we've been waiting for.
Yes.
Come on, doctor, tell us more about the changes.
Okay, well, most people want to know, when can I expect to experience this change in life? At what age? There is no set age, but it starts around the age of 42. Goes on up to about 70. What is responsible for this age, this change, you might ask? This is a change in your hormones, basically.
The menopause. Ooh.
And in men we call it AndroPause.
AndroPause.
Andro because of the men. And it can affect your body in many different systems, and so we're going to deal with it as the effect on several. I'm going to just run down the list right now. This cardiovascular
Oh, wow.
system.
That's the heart.
Yes. The bones and joints and muscle mass as well.
The osteopenia, the osteoporosis.
Correct.
Those are big words.
Memory and cognition, things to do with, you know, just feeling in control of your thinking and not fuzzy-headed. Teeth and gums. You have no
Wow.
idea how the gum disease can affect your heart and also your health. And then nutrition, hydration, keeping your body well hydrated, keeping your body in balance, as we always like to talk about. And other things to do with just supplements that you might want to add or tests that you might want to do to check yourself out.
Oh, wow.
How about that?
Well, that's exciting. I'm excited to know a little more about that menopause. So it's not really a pose. Things are changing. They're just going down and not stopped.
Right.
So
If we
maybe
could
we
pause it, that would be a good thing.
So that's like, you know, things are rolling downwards, but
Right.
there are things we can do.
Exactly.
Let's
And
talk
the
about
thing
that.
is, the things that are rolling down primarily is the level of a hormone, which is a long word. I'm going to speak it once. DHEA, dihydroepiandrosterone. Get used to that hormone because you're going to be encountering that from time to time in this talk. It
I like
is one of the adrenal hormones.
Adrenals.
And the level of DHEA and the level of cortisol are kind of on opposite sides of a seesaw. When one goes down, the other one
wow.
tends to be up, and the opposite are also true. And when you have adequate levels of DHEA, and may I just say that this is kind of like the primary hormone that turns in women. It goes to the estriol and estradiol and estrogen.
Yes.
And in men, it goes to testosterone and progesterone. And by the way, most people think that women have estrogen and men have testosterone, but both sets of bodies make both sets of hormones.
It's a balance.
We have testosterone in us,
Yes.
men have estrogen in them. And when there's a balance, our estrogen predominates mostly and their testosterone predominates.
Oh, wow.
And so when we're in our 30s or so, when we're at our peak and when we're healthiest, our levels are at the optimum.
Okay. So what I'm hearing you saying, Dr. Lewin, is this: during puberty, these hormones are on the rise.
Correct.
So we see the changes.
Yes.
The hair grows.
Absolutely.
And things grow.
Yes.
And
yes.
things
Breast
change.
tissues start
That's right.
to grow.
And as you age, the levels go down and things shrink. So let's talk about what we can do then. Does that mean then for women who have a little bit of beard, they might have a little bit more of the other hormone,
That
the
is
testosterone?
correct,
And for men who have
a little bit
extra volume on the upper part of the body,
Yes.
they might have a little bit more.
or even in the middle part of the body.
Midsection.
Because, you know, in
Midsection.
the midsection. I'm going to refer to a book written by Stephen Chernisky, a biochemist known to me. He wrote this book and other books. He actually wrote a book about DHEA and its effects on the body, and which is a very good book. I might recommend that for anybody to read. And his writing is very easy to read. It's not very technical, although it gives you a lot of information. But one of the things that he quoted from some studies that have been done in the past is that at the age of about 50,
50.
sometimes women have less estrogen than men at the age of about 59.
59.
So in other words, your husband might be becoming your best friend, like your best girlfriend, as it were, because he's starting at that time to get a paunch and maybe have a little more fat in some areas where he normally wouldn't. And you are starting to lose some of your muscle mass.
Wow.
And, you know, you're starting to show signs of loss of DHEA. Some of the other things that it affects, your outlook. When you have more testosterone or more of these hormones, your endorphins are
you're excited about life.
You're
fired up.
You're fired up, exactly.
Yeah.
As it starts to go, then you start to get fatigue, you start to get depressed, you may start to get a little dementia, things like that. And really, one line of thinking is that maybe DHEA can affect the syndrome known as chronic fatigue syndrome.
Oh yes, they talk about that adrenal fatigue. And there's a lot of push for foods which helps your adrenal glands.
Right.
Wow.
Exactly.
You know, I like the fact that we are here helping our viewers connect the dots.
Yes.
So when a person starts feeling a little blue when they reach a certain age, it's probably not just their fault that they're feeling that way. Things are changing eternally.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's a long story. But I think for today, we need to leave our viewers with the things they can do to help this whole situation.
Yes, one of the things that you really ought to do is find out exactly how much you have or what you're supposed to have.
Testing.
In other words, some tests to be done. One of the tests that we should know, for men particularly, is your cholesterol. For men, we don't want it higher than about 180 total. And with women, you don't want your LDL cholesterol to be higher than 70s somewhere. The total cholesterol should be less than 150. But the thing is, when you have good HDL cholesterol, because of a ratio of total cholesterol divided by the HDL, it produces your cardiovascular risk for disease. So in other words, it's important for you to have your ratios of the different cholesterol levels properly in proper range, so that your heart disease potential goes down.
Okay.
And also things like the bones and the joints. We talked about the osteoporosis.
Yes.
Osteoporosis is not just a lack of calcium. Although some people don't have enough calcium in their bodies and don't have enough supplementation in their diets.
Yes.
We recommend you should have at least 1,000 milligrams of extra calcium a day, maybe 500 milligram tablets. But again, we may have lack of DHEA. And so if you supplement with that, along with the calcium, you'll get a better benefit to help to rebuild bones. And believe you me, osteoporosis is not a lack of, and I'm going to say a trade name here, and maybe this is not the most kosher thing to do, but you know, the Fosamax and the bisphosphonates. Those medications sometimes cause the opposite effect, because there are two factors in building bone. You have the cells that lay down the bone, that's the osteoblasts, and you have the cells that recanalize and organize the bone, the osteoclasts, that take away bone and restructure bone. And it's like the osteoblasts stop working optimally when you don't have enough of that DHEA.
Okay.
And the clasts continue doing their job. So they're taking away bone, we don't have enough bone being laid down, and so we're getting a lack of bone in our bodies. And it shows up when you have a bone density test.
Yes.
You know, we should be having one of those over age 50 every other year or so. And so we come along with our medication and we kill off the osteoclasts. So what do you get left with? No building of bone, no taking away bone. Probably leaves you with dead bone, right? So you get more fractures. Jaw fractures are actually a side effect of taking
ribs,
these medications.
the back.
You know? So you want to be very careful whenever you start taking this, that you do supplement with the things that will help your bones regenerate.
Wow.
And we can continue to regenerate all through life. There's no time when we stop building back our bodies, you know?
Absolutely.
As long as we have the right raw materials and right signals.
Absolutely. You know, our viewers have been asking about this hormonal change thing.
Right.
So there are things we can not change.
That's true.
But there are things we can change. So what I'm hearing is getting tested is key.
Yeah.
Getting tested for your cholesterol levels, your hormonal levels. And then I'm hearing activity in the background.
Right.
Because we know when we move, those osteoclasts will be more active.
The blasts will be more active as well. So they'll build bone, the blasts.
Okay.
Yes. And then we will also need to do some activity for our brains. In other words, we want to keep our brains active because as we decline in age or go up in age, we decline in function. So,
Absolutely.
doing things like puzzles is beneficial, crossword puzzles, and connect the letters, things that you see folks who are getting older trying to do to keep their brain. Not just sitting and watching TV, which unfortunately I'm guilty of as well. Sometimes at the end of the day, you sit and veg in front of the TV, and then the TV is watching you. But you want to be doing something more active. I like to play Scrabble, maybe, or other people have other things they want to do.
Absolutely. I love to play Scrabble. So exercising the thumb, we are going to minimize exercising the thumb and start doing weight-bearing exercises. Exercises, activity, which means carrying yourself around, not flicking the remote control back and forth. That's one.
Yes. And keep our bones healthy.
And nutrition is another one. And we have all these nutrition classes coming up here at NWR Educate. So for those who are listening and tuning in today, who are excited about the next step, I believe that they can actually tune in and learn a little bit more about how to feed your body in a way that even though the menopause is taking charge of your body, you can actually accelerate and get things better.
Build and your muscle mass. The more muscle mass you create or you maintain, the better your immunity. So you're better able to ward off all these diseases that are out and about waiting to catch you. So you'll be able to preserve yourself even in that way. Antioxidants. We want you to eat ACE, the red and yellow and orange
the colorful foods.
The colorful foods, We want you to get much veggie, the dark green leafy vegetables, folic acid and the B vitamins. These are some of the things that you can do to help preserve your body.
I think our viewers are looking forward to hear a little bit more about this. They want to learn from you, Dr. Lewin. What I'm also hearing is that our relationships can get better.
Yes, in many different ways.
Because we get moody when things start slowing down, the hormonal levels are down, you get depression, you get irritability, there are people who are constantly annoyed. They always feel like the sky is falling. It might be that these hormones are going down too fast.
And true. And for men now, let's get to the men before we run out of time.
Go ahead, Dr. Lewin.
We're talking about, prostate. It is said that by the age of 60% of men already have some prostate cancer. Not that it is affecting them in any way, but it is there. By the age of 70% have, and so on, up the percentages. So this same DHEA we mentioned is a benefit to slow down the progression of this tumor if it is in your body. It's not necessarily going to, you may not die from it, you may die with it from something else. But at least you can slow it down and make it not so much of a factor.
Absolutely.
And your performance, men are always mindful of their ability to do their homely duties.
That's a touchy subject. I can't go there. But Dr. Lewin,
we want to maximize that for them.
Dr. Lewin, this is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing people want to improve their quality of life, their performance as well, vitality. And I'm hearing that you have some of the secrets to help people improve that. So at the end of the day, the take-home message for our listeners today is this. The adrenal glands produce two hormones. And these hormones operate in a balance. And the more stress you have in your life, the more cortisol, the hormone stress you have. And the faster, the less DHE, and the faster menopause is going to come around.
So
I'm not there yet.
Stress, minimize menopause.
I am not there yet, Dr. Lewin. I'm going to go home, and I took my notes here, and I'm going to implement. We have reached a point where we cannot just educate. We need to help people implement. Because when you implement, you get results. Again, thank you for joining us today. This is Dr. Stella and Dr. Lewin. Have a wonderful, wonderful life ever.